Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Baruchim Habayim. We're continuing in Mishna Daf Hashavua. Today we begin Siman Sadi Hey Kivon Evar B'Shat Tefillah. Aligning your limbs during prayer, during davening. Says the holy Mishnah Berura, says Mechaber. Yichavin raglav zeh eitzel zeh b'kevan kilo einam el echad. You should align your legs one next to the other as if they're one leg. Lihidamos malachim, to be comparable to angels. The chsiv bahen, it says about the angels, v'ragleihem regel yeshara, and their legs are a straight leg. Kolaimar ragleihem nirim k'regel echad. Their legs look like one leg. It says Rama yeshoimrim kisha'omed lehispalel. Some say when you get up to daven, yelech lefanav shalosh psilos. You should walk in front of you 3 steps, derech kerov, a manner of coming close, v'hagosha, and approaching, ledavar shetzarich lasos. It's a manner of reverently approaching that which you need to enter. So it's interesting. It doesn't say you should take 3 steps back. Doesn't say you should take 3 steps. The thing is, in order to, in most places, if you're going to have room, if you want to have room to take 3 steps forward, you're going to have to take 3 steps back, you know? But there's no din to take 3 steps back. It doesn't seem like there's a din to take 3 steps back. Now I want to tell you what it says in the Art Scroll Siddur. But first let's read the Mishnah Berura. Yichavin raglav v'diavad afilm loikim raglav klal yatsa. B'diavad, even if you're not mechavin your legs at all, you're yotze. You know, sometimes you have guys, they're standing, they look like, I don't know, they're it's a stance for baseball or something. It's okay. B'diavad, they're yotze. B'diavad, they're yotze. Someone who can put their feet together. By the way, it's not only the heels that should be together, also the toes, the Beis Yosef says, should be together. Meaning, the 2 thumb toes should be together. All the toes should be together. It's not a time to wiggle your toes. Now, we're not going to know if you're wiggling your toes, right? This is not something that anyone in the Mishnah Berura, Chabura, will know about. If you're not wearing socks, we might know if you're wiggling your toes. But this is just your own personal obligation. Don't wiggle your toes during Shemone Esrei. If you can't put your feet together, Rav Moshe writes, put them together as much as possible. If a shliach tzibur is not able to put their feet together, if it's because he can't, you could allow him to daven. If it's because he feels, it's not that important, I'm not doing it, you know? He's not a down for the Amud. You can't let him down for the Amud. If he's being an action about it, no, I never, in my yeshiva, there weren't, no, can't daven. You're still Yotzei. The Maggid Harakiah says, what's the raya? The Rambam lists Tikkun Haguf among the things that you have to be careful about. But it's not one of the things that are ma'akev. And Tikkun Haguf, there the Rambam explains one of the requirements of Tikkun Haguf is the Chavin Raglav Zulazu. Also, another proof the Maggid Harakiah brings is when you ride on a donkey, you don't have your legs together. Now I don't know if that's muchach. Maybe you'll say we're talking about where you I guess you'd be choking there'd be 2 ways to do it. Either you're, so to speak, perpendicular on the donkey with your legs together, or you're choking the donkey. Anyway, says Mishnah Berura, since you're speaking with the Shechina, you need to remove all physical thoughts and be comparable to an angel. Now, what about women? By women, there is no concept that they should be doimel l'malachim. Why not? Where do we see that? Where do we see by women there's no concept to be doimel l'malachim? The Dirshu called Siman Tafresh Yotesiv Katan Yud Gimel maybe that's talking about Hilchos Yom Kippur. Do women don't wear a kittel, right? The inyan of Lihidamei Malachim does not apply to women. So maybe they don't have to put their feet together. No. So you have the second reason of the tour, in the name of the Yerushalmi, that by putting your feet together, you're like the Kohanim would walk in the Beis Hamikdash, Akev b'tzad hagoydal. And Nashim are shaykh to that, because for them, tefillah is b'chlal avoida. Maybe we could add, women are also chayv in karbanos. Women have a chelek in the karbanos. So therefore, women would have the second reason of putting their feet together, to not to be doimel l'malachim, but to be similar to kohanim. Tough ratio. Tes sivkata and yud gimel. By the way, it's very interesting. In Siman tough ratio yud tes sifhei, yesh oimdim al raglem kalim chalel. Some people stand the whole Yom Kippur. My great grandfather was in the garment industry, but he was makbid to stand the entire 24 hours of Yom Kippur. He was a very, very powerful individual. His name was Reb Shlomo Zalman Glick. He wasn't a rabbi. He innovated the following chidush in New York, that you can't talk by davening. And he would go around from person to person, and if you were talking, he would scream at you. And many Rabbanim told him, "What are you doing?" And he said, "What do you mean? I'm just following the Shulchan Aruch." And Rav Hillel David was the first rabbi that let him stay and daven in his shul. And the revolution of not talking in America, he was mechadesh. Anyway, he stood the whole day on Yom Kippur. Do you know the Mishna Berura says women do not stand on Yom Kippur? There's no inyan for a woman to stand extra on Yom Kippur. You see men, they stand the whole day. There's no inyan of a woman to stand. Why? There's no inyan of being doimel l'malachim for women. You know why? I don't know why, but tell them because they're already like malachim. No, I don't know. I'm not sure what the reason is. Why shouldn't women be doimel l'malachim? There's no inyan. Anyway, but weiter. Now this is very interesting. The Mishna Berura says that even if you're sitting on a wagon, you should still put your feet together. Oid kasvu sha'al yismach az la'acharav. You should not lean behind you. I guess this is talking about. Is this talking about when you're standing a regular Shemone Esrei? Or this is when you're on a wagon? I guess either. Don't lean when you're davening. Not backward, not to the side. Val yivshoit raglav, val yarkivim zeh al zeh. Don't spread out your feet. Don't cross your legs. Mimnei shekol zeh derech gaiva. This is all arrogant. Elo yoshev v'rosh hakava. You should sit with your head bent. I guess it's talking about on a wagon, right? In other words, you're in a car, right? You're in a car. Obviously, if you're standing Shemone Esrei, you're not leaning. We already learned that. You're not supposed to lean. We're talking about you're in a car. So in your car, should you daven like that? Should you daven, ois gespreit? Don't cross your legs. Don't spread them out. Sit with reverence. Yelech lefanav. You should walk in front of you 3 steps. Mishna Berura says exclusively, you don't take 3 steps back to take 3 steps forward. You don't have to. So the Dirshu brings, in the name of the Darkei Moshe, the reason why we take 3 steps, why dafka 3, if it's only, the Mechaber says that if the Ramah says Derech Kira v'Hagasha, says the Ramah in the Darkei Moshe, because we find 3 Hagashos for Tefillah. Vayigash Abraham, Vayigash Yehuda, Vayigash Eliyahu. In the Heilige Art Scroll Siddur, it gives a different reason. In the Art Scroll Siddur, it says because when Moshe came to Hashem, he went through Choshech, Anon, Va'arafel. Maybe there's a Makar, maybe, I'm not sure where that comes from, but that's Azoy State in the Art Scroll Siddur. So it's not in the Ramah, it's not in the Darkei Moshe, but it's in the Art Scroll. Okay. So you don't have to take 3 steps back. Kain Kasav Elya Rabbah. Aval minhag ha'olam leilach la'acharv. The minhag is to take 3 steps back. And the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says you should take them before you finish Goal Yisrael. Before you finish Goal Yisrael, you take the 3 steps back, and after you finish Goal Yisrael, then you take the 3 steps forward. You're meaning, it's not the pshat, Goal Yisrael, Hashem Sefasai Tiftach. You have to Goal Yisrael, then 3 steps, then Hashem Sefasai Tiftach. Isn't that a hefsek? The Tila David says it's mitzarch tefillah. When it comes to Mincha or Marav, that the Shel Tzibur says Kaddish before Shemone Esrei, the Rivois Ephraim brings the Ramosha Feinstein, when he was the Shatz, he took the 3 steps back before Kaddish. I'm sorry, he took the 3 steps forward before Kaddish, because Kaddish is a chelek of Shemone Esrei. So Moshe took 3 steps, said Kaddish, and went straight to Kishem Hashem Ekra Havagadol Elokeinu. What if the guy behind you already started Shemone Esrei? You can't take 3 steps back anymore. You're stuck. You just start Shemone Esrei, Reb Chaim says, without taking 3 steps back. Anyway, the way the Dirshu is saying it is that you take 3 steps back before Goal Yisrael, and then you say Goal Yisrael, and then you take 3 steps forward, and then you say Hashem Sefasai Tiftach, and that's not a hefsek because it's Mitzarach HaTfilah. I must admit, I don't do that. I take 3 steps back before Goal Yisrael. I take 3 steps back so that I say Goal Yisrael, Hashem Sefasai Tiftach straight, and I've already taken the 3 steps forward. Is that not correct? Rabbi Yeager says it's correct. So Rabbi Yeager is arguing with the Tila LeDavid. You don't have to defend me just because I'm giving the shir. You don't have to say I'm doing it right.
How much fans would I do?
So we have Machlokes Dirshu and Rabbi Yeager. The Dirshu says you take 3 steps back before you finish Goal Yisrael, and after Goal Yisrael, the Kitzur also says it seems like after you finish Goal Yisrael, then you take the 3 steps forward. And the Tila LeDavid also concurs it's Mitzarach HaTfilah, it's not a hefsek. Does anyone argue with that? You have to speak to your people. Okay. Weiter. Kasa b'darkei Moshe, Maharil ha'yonoig lamoid b'shachris l'tfilah Shemone Esrei. The Maharil, the Darkei Moshe brings that the Maharil was noig to stand in the morning before Shemone Esrei when the Sheikh Tzibur got to Tilos Lekel Elyon, uve mincha shekishayarad Sheikh Tzibur l'fnei Teva, mincha when the Sheikh Tzibur began. What Reb Chaim Kanievsky means that's after Ashrei, before Kaddish. Uve arvis kishayizra Sheikh Tzibur Kaddish. V'gam yasir az kicha v'nei v'chodar m'vavel machshavta. That's the time to expectorate any phlegm you have, not by Goal Yisrael, but rather by Tilos Lekel Elyon. Okay, Siv Beis. You need to bow your head slightly. That your eyes are down on the ground. You should think as if you're standing in the Beis HaMikdash. And in your heart, you should have in mind the heavens. Says Mishna Berura, Sheyu Einav. You want to bow your head so your eyes are down. Ayin le'el siman tzadi sivkat and ches b'Mishna Berura. What is that going on? The Magen Avram asks, here the Shulchan Aruch says you need to daven with your eyes down. And in Siman Sadi, he writes, you need to have windows to daven opposite them. The Magen Avram answers, you need to daven with your eyes down. But if you're having, if your kavana is nizbatel, then you look to the Shemayim to ma'oira the kavana. That's what the Magen Avram answered. The Bach gives a different answer. The Bach says a different answer. Before you start, you look into the sky. Once you daven, your eyes should be down. So basically, we have a very interesting machlokes. I'm going to ask you a personal question. Do you look at the sky before you start Shemone Esrei? I don't think I'm makbid too. I was never a makbid to look at the sky before Shemone Esrei. The Bach says you should. The Magen Avram says you don't have to. The Magen Avram says you only have to look at the sky if you're not having kavana. And since I'm always having kavana, why would I ever have to look at the sky? No, I mean, according to the Magen Avram, you look at the sky only if you need extra assistance. According to the Bach, it's part of the protocol. Part of the protocol of Shemone Esrei is to look at the sky. Okay. Those who lift up their heads and their eyes upward, like they're looking on the roof. The angels are laughing. Hey, you see this clown that's looking up at the sky? Now, you don't want the malachim to mock you. Don't make unusual movements. Don't fist pump, don't gesticulate, don't pantomime. You're talking to God. You don't have to, do unusually strange things. If you're in the closet by yourself, rishus, not polygamous, to raise your voice, etc., that's not appropriate. Anyone who doesn't close their eyes during Shemone Esrei will not be zocheh to see the Pnei Shechina when they die. If you're davening a siddur, and your eyes are open to look in the siddur, there's no problem. Mishna Berura. Fine. Sif Gimel. Maniach Yadav Alibay Kefusin. Put your hands on your heart, Perush Kikshurin, as if they're tied. Hayamanis alas malas. The right hand on the left hand. So you put your right hand on your left hand, Kefusim. I don't see people doing this, which is another way of saying that I don't always do this, but you should do this. The Shulchan Aruch says you should do this.
Doesn't take place in that because the Goyim do it, so we don't do it.
I don't know. Let's see. We'll see in the Mishnah Berura. I know that Arizal was very makbid on this. Arizal writes about the importance of standing in this oifen. You should stand like a servant before your master. Be'ema, be'yura, uvefachad. Don't put your hands on your sides, on your loins. I'm going to demonstrate. Yeah? I don't think it doesn't just mean like that. It means like this, Don't put your hands on your sides. Shehu derech yura, that's gaiva. V'ayin lekaman reish siman sadi zayin. Says the Mishnah Berura, libay b'makim shenogin lamay ken lefnei melech kishemadamri may b'sham itay tzarchem. When you should daven with your right hand on your left hand on your heart? If that's how you stand before a king, when you speak with him and you ask him for your needs. V'hakol k'minhag hamakayim. So probably that's the reason why we wouldn't speak this way. I mean, even if you would meet Joe, you'd have a meeting with Biden. I don't think you would go to him like that. The Dirshu says people who have a difficult time to put their hands one on another, the Aruch HaShulchan says they could put their hands on the stender. everyone should do what's better for their personal tefillah. Chazoinish and the stipler put their hands on a stender. I don't see any reason why one should not try to daven with their hands, with the hand on, unless there's no, in other words, there's no be'etzem reason to put your hand on your heart. It's just that's the way that people usually petition a king, but that's not done anymore. So maybe it's sort of obsolete, it's meaningless. Even though, by the way, the Arizal does mention this as the correct position to be in. Oh, uvesefer asar mamoros, the Ramami Pado Kosab Shemari, Sheyanichus Royoisam Alibam, to put your arms on your heart, Yemanis al Smalis, your right on your left, Uveshem Haramak, Sheyachayf Hoagudo Besach Pizayad, put the thumb in the hand. So I'm sure there's a Kabbalistic reason to do this. You know what? Bli neder, maybe I'll give it a shot. The Ramah writes in the Darkei Moshe, it's to be Magbir Midas Harachamim Al Midas Hadin. Says Reb Chaim Kanievsky, a lefty, Holchim Acharei Yemin Usmoil De Alma. So what does that mean? Even a lefty should do the same thing that a righty does. Wow, that's very interesting. How did Reb Chaim stand? You should shuckle during davening. You should do it. You should shuckle. Not chuckle, shuckle. You should shuckle during davening. Because the pasuk, all of my bones say, Hashem, who is like you. So you want to give it all your bones. The Ramah writes somewhere, Berura there writes that there are those who argue and they say you should not shuckle by davening, except for Psuke de Zimra, Berchas HaTorah, Berchas Kriyashma, and Talmud Torah. Even the Magen Avram, whose Min HaCholkim holds David Kamar Avid, Uda Avid Kamar Avid. So in Siman Memches Sif Katan Hey, let's take a look at that. Memches Sivkatan Hey. The Ramah says that even though there are those who Reb Moshe did not shackle by the davening. Because okay, but to shuckle Tenua Mishubeshes, where the guf is stationary and you're just turning the head, that's Derech Gaiva. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful Shabbos, okay? Bracha v'atzlacha. Kol tov. What?